Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Lipstick Club where we talk relationships, reality TV, and frankly all the things these people do that make us ask, man, sir, what are we doing? I'm Anna Sierra and I'm back, and today we are diving into Married at First Sight Season 20. I'm going to do a quick recap of episode 15 and focus more on episode 16. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on episode 15 because I already covered that episode over at on Auntie's Advice channel. If you haven't checked out Auntie's Advice, please do. Fantastic channel. Love her to bits. We have a great time over there, and we've been reviewing episodes of Married at First Sight this season. It's been a great time, and we went into detail about episodes 13 through 15. So I would definitely check it out over there. Tell me how you think about it. Tell me how you feel. It was a good time for sure. Now let's talk about these couples. So I wanted to start off with just talking about episode 15 and just a little bit of a recap of what I talked about on Auntie's Advice's channel with mainly the dinner scene. So I don't really feel need to go into every detail of episode 15 because the main focus of that episode was the dinner scene where they're meeting for the last time as a group doing their group dinners. And this was probably one of the most explosive moments of the season. Great television, but it clearly demonstrated to me that there's no way this show is really about people getting married based off the outcomes of that situation and how putting these couples together to discuss each other's relationships is not at all conducive to keep people together. Like, there's no way you're telling me putting these people together, kind of pitting them against each other, is setting them up for relationship success. And this is a clear indication of that. Some of the things that were the biggest call out moments in this dinner were, of course, the interaction between Sean and Adam, where Sean calls Adam out and asks, do your parents speak like this? Because using language like bro or, vibes and cooked and simple words like that as the only means of expression and not having a more formed vocabulary and a more prominent emotional IQ, there seems to be some gaps there. And it showed how unintelligent this group of individuals are because for all these people, the man clearly said EQ, and they all got out of that he was talking about Adam's IQ. And it was very much kind of like a followers mentality. Like you can tell this is a group of followers and they just want to be part of the cool group. So they're all defending Adam because Adam's become the pseudo leader of the bros in this group. And you can tell that he is really relished in that position. He has worked hard to be the leader of the bros. And this is one of those situations where Sean has no desire to be part of the bros. In fact, he's been part of the sisters probably most of the time. I wouldn't be shocked if he was raised by all women or spent a lot of time with women. I bet he was besties with women because he's not impressed by bro culture in the least bit. And this is a perfect example of that. And he was almost calling out Adam to say, I don't really believe that you, Adam, are in fact part of this bro culture. And you're almost dumbing yourself down to make these guys worship you. And I I find it funny that that's the most riled up and upset that Adam has ever got because this is the first time somebody's actually seen him and seen through him. And I don't know Adam's backstory, but I would not be shocked if we find out that he came from money and he no longer wanted to be under his parents' thumb. And so he got financially cut off. But because of that, he's been on a constant um, bullet train to trying to prove them wrong or to prove to them that he doesn't really need them and that he's not like them at all. He's really a different guy. He clearly comes from the frat culture, and I bet you he went to private school and went to the best schools where he was doing piano recitals and Eagle Scouts and the rest, and he's trying everything he can to distance himself from the person he actually is, including using dumbed down vocabulary, knowing good and full well he probably has a very highly extensive vocabulary. He's probably incredibly smart. And you could tell because he started pulling some of those words out. this is where I kind of saw the microaggressions towards black people specifically, but black men, where it almost felt like Adam was feeling the, how dare you talk to me like that? Like, do you know who my family is? It gave me those vibes. I don't know if you picked up on that, but I have seen a lot of ageism that's occurred in the show. Adam trying to say that Nikki and Sean are arguing about things that people at their age should not be arguing about. And for me, it's very clear when you hit a certain age, you are arguing about things that will really impact you, that matter. I mean, you and Marissa are dancing in the moonlight. You're not having any real serious conversations, and she's just been amicable, and she's just kind of went along to get along and not push back. And that's the problem, is that Nikki is 46 years old. She's going to push back, and they're going to have a lot more conflict than you and Marissa are having. So I just thought that part of the dinner was very interesting. Another part that we'll see come up again is how Caitlin speaks to Devin, and she continues to be disrespectful, dismissive, basically making herself the victim in every situation, and that's become very exhausting. And then my final big call outs were I felt like Cameron was really vocal for some reason in this episode. He had a lot to say in this episode. And he just felt the need to call everybody out in the room and saying an entire side of a table shouldn't get married. They should just call it. And um, in this moment, Mecca feels the need to try to relate to Nikki on her feeling of attraction to Sean, which is comparing Nikki and Sean for the attraction situation to Becca and Mel is rich, boo. Like, to put Sean and Belle on the same level is insane to me. But then Mecca decides to put his foot in his mouth once again because he's trying to embarrass Belle and tried to knock her down a few pegs and humble her for some odd reason. And says, did I think you were pretty? Yeah, is she pretty enough for me? And he shakes his head, no. Why you would say that to a woman, I do not understand. That was an insane comment to make, but I think you would say that if you're number one, an insecure man, or also if you're trying to sabotage something and get out of it. And I feel like this relationship has gone a lot farther than Mecca anticipated it would go. And I think he thought his experience with having a black woman was not going
Just
to go
seems to
well. And
equate
he's
sex with
shocked
commitment.
how
Why are we
well this is
pressuring
actually
people to have
going.
sex
Because I'm pretty sure
to
he's
prove
probably
they
labeled
want to be
black
married?
women, not really
It's
like
very
black
bizarre
women,
to me.
because he comes from a black
If
woman.
I don't
And it was
know
one that
whether
abandoned
I
him.
want to be around you
So
six
I
months
just feel
from
like he
now,
has some
why would I
hangups
need to
around that
sleep
that
with you
nobody's talking about.
to prove that I'm
And
serious
everyone
about
says,
marriage?
well,
It
if he
doesn't make any
preferred white
sense.
women, why didn't he say that
And Sean
to
starts talking about wanting
the
to set a time for a bath together
experts?
and
And I'm like,
massages and
he's
all
never
this
going to say
physical
that because he doesn't
intimacy.
want to be
I'm like,
accountable
sir,
to that
relax.
on TV. He doesn't want black America and black women to come for him for saying, I don't want to date black women on national TV. He wasn't going to do that. So what he ends up saying is something, as we say, ambiguous. I'm open. They're thinking they're gonna put him with any old buddy. He is not thinking they're actually going to find a black woman that is probably the perfect match for him. But because this man is no longer attracted to black women, if he ever was, he's never going to give her the respect and the full chance that she deserves. And he can't help but fall for her because she's amazing. He's trying to find reasons to get out of it, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult for him to swindle his way out of this relationship. So, episode 15 was wild to me. That was a crazy ending, and it was a great setup for them going into the couples retreat, which is what we're going to talk about the most in this podcast, which is episode 16. I was really excited about the go away trip because when you get people in one house, you start to see a lot of things, shenanigans happen. It can either be for the good or the bad. We are definitely going to see that happen in this retreat, and putting people in the same rooms. There's bound to be some drama. So we'll start with Adam and Marissa. Adam continues to be one of those people where I'm kind of sitting here thinking, do you actually hear what people are telling you? Because when Sean called him out for presenting a character, Adam seemed honestly more focused on being offended by the criticism than actually considering whether there was truth in it. And I really agreed with Sean when he went off on Adam. So now we're moving to a point where I felt like Sean recognized his character, because character recognizes character. And Sean overdoes, in my opinion, his own presentation. He overemphasizes everything. He uses vocabulary that sometimes exceeds the moment by about 3 tax brackets. And so these two are looking at each other like, you're performing. No, sir, so are you. And then Adam says, I feel like I got you back. And that told me that Adam still wasn't really listening. So they get to the retreat. They're all at the house. Sean decides to say, hey, I have to go for my mom's 72nd birthday. I'm going to have to leave early. I'm not abandoning Nikki. There was no reason for him to say that. He could have just said, I already had this pre-planned before I got on the show. I'm going to have to go see my mom. And also, tickets are really expensive. So the odds of him being able to go get a ticket for Nikki were probably going to be skyrocket high for tickets. So he decides not to put it off. And Sean immediately decides to pull Adam to the side so they can have a conversation. I did appreciate that Sean did this and he didn't wait until later on to have this conversation with Adam. It felt a lot more focused, not focused, but it felt more genuine that he did it this way as opposed to waiting. But that's something that I just recognize is that they're both really playing a character. And I feel like although John clearly knows, he recognizes who Adam is, he doesn't want to make the situation uncomfortable for everybody. Even though I think Sean's totally okay with living in the discomfort, I think he knows that Nikki is not. And he does not want her to have to sit in that because of what he decided to say. So that was interesting. I still don't think Adam really took from that conversation what he should have taken from that. Like, there was no self-reflection to be had by Adam. Adam just immediately dismissed what Sean said instead of saying, man, this man is a doctor. He's a very smart man. There's something about me that he's seeing. Am I doing any level of self-reflection when it comes to this? I think for Adam and Marissa, I'm going to tell Marissa to proceed with caution because I don't think Adam has really gotten to the point where he's examining himself. And until he can hear criticism without immediately turning it into an attack on him, I don't know how much growth we're going to see from Adam. And that's just something that really stood out for me. Cameron and Michelle are my next couple I want to talk about, and it's funny because Sean is like kind of wrapped into this, and he makes a point about Michelle that I think is worth discussing. He says he thinks the eventual conflict between Michelle and Cameron is going to be about Michelle's tendency to accept whatever a man brings to the table instead of making sure she's actually getting what she wants. Honestly, for me, I don't think he's wrong. Michelle said she wanted a man that makes at least $150,000 a year. Cameron does not make anywhere near that. And that's not automatically a problem, but if that's what you said you wanted, at some point we have to ask whether you're actually getting what you told us you wanted. And because Michelle is also carrying a lot of the emotional load in this relationship, it it feels like something's going to happen. And Cameron has his own like depression struggles. He's acknowledged that Michelle takes some of that emotional work off of him and like physical, actual things that need to be done off of him when he's having a hard day. And I'm kind of watching the episode thinking, okay, at what point does somebody take care of Michelle? Feels like Michelle's doing a lot of taking care of everybody else. Because that's the question I keep coming back to. And when we get to the retreat, Cameron is trying to make sure Michelle gets the best room so she has somewhere to decompress, which I like that he took the lead on that. And I think she also looks that he is very mature, um, which I think that makes a huge difference dating somebody older. That's why they remind me a lot of Camille and Tom, uh, especially on this couples retreat. Tom is older too, and Tom, he approached the relationship a lot like Cameron, where he's like, I came here to find my wife and that's it. I'm not here for the shows and shenanigans. I came here to get married. And also, when finding a room, like Camille and Tom were basically like, we're too old for this. Like, they went to bed while everybody else was carrying on, having drama. Cameron and Michelle were the same way. Everybody else was downstairs dancing, standing on tables, playing rap music all night long. It's just like you can see the similarities. Um, so they'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. They don't feel as genuine to me as Camille and Tom did. Uh, I guess I'm kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop with them, and I hate to feel that way, but something feels a little bit off to me, and I just can't put my finger completely on it. I feel like my kiss off for Cameron and Michelle is a soft kiss, and with a little bit of a raised eyebrow, because I don't see like I don't see how he will be able to fully care for her here. I also see a woman who may be doing more emotional labor than she's acknowledging. And I really need Michelle to ask herself whether she's genuinely happy with what she's receiving or whether she's simply really good at accepting it. Because I think we've kind of seen that. All right, y'all, moving forward to Devin and Caitlyn. Child, Caitlyn has Devin. She has Devin. Like, I need you to hear that. And somehow we are still here with them having like no connection. Caitlyn keeps saying she doesn't connect because she doesn't like being in the limelight, doesn't want to be on television. We're all like, okay, except Adam reminds everyone about the concert the four of them went to that was not on camera. And he's like, well, what was Caitlyn doing? Caitlyn was on her phone ignoring Devin. So let's kind of keep it a buck. This isn't about cameras. She just really isn't into this man. And Devin is trying everything. Even when they're having their drive up there, he asks her about Memphis, just trying to have random conversation. He asked about Bass Pro Shops. He's trying to find some random connection. He's trying to find anything, something that might create some common ground for them, and she's making it really difficult, just incredibly hard for him. And then she has the audacity to say Devin is insanely attractive. She says he's hot. And then she says that there is desire there. And I know anybody that's been watching this show is saying, ma'am, where? Because I haven't seen it. I don't think any of you have seen it. There has been virtually no intimacy, no physical connection, no real affection. And Caitlyn says she wants to give Devin permission to be more intimate with her. And apparently she thinks a little pat on the back or a little rub on the chest is supposed to communicate, okay, now you can pursue me. And we're suddenly her like, girl, you have been giving this man nothing. You can't spend all this time building a wall up and then get mad that he doesn't know the secret knock. I'm like, is it 2 or 3? We don't know. And then Cameron calls out the excuse about not wanting to be in the limelight and saying, again, that's a bad excuse. But I do actually think that Devin made one of the most important observations when he said Caitlyn has never been in a healthy relationship, because that's kind of scary. If you never experienced a healthy relationship, how do you recognize one when it shows up for you? And Devin is 26, y'all. And I have to say, kind of watching this show, I'm realizing just how far along Devin is emotionally for his age. I mean, there are men that are on this cast in their 30s and their 40s who seem significantly less emotionally intelligent than this 26-year-old. And for me, that says a lot. So if I were to give these people a red lipstick kiss off, my kiss for Devin and Caitlyn is Devin gets the kiss, Caitlyn gets the lipstick thrown across the room. Because I honestly, genuinely do not think this woman wants a relationship, and she can give us all the explanations and excuses she wants, but her behavior, frankly, is telling us something completely different. Moving forward, y'all, we got Mecca and Bella on the line. Oh, Bella, girl. I need you to listen to me, because when Bella tells the women that Mecca didn't mean what he said, he just doesn't know how to say things correctly. I was like, no, he means what he says. When a man tells you you're pretty, but are you pretty enough for me? No, he said exactly what he meant. And when the man tries to come back later and say, I didn't say that, which is what Mecca tried to do, when we all heard him say it, it's like, sir, we heard it too, Bill. Don't rewrite history, because now you're embarrassed by your own words. And then when Bella gets upset, what does he do? He becomes the wounded child. Now suddenly he's the sad guy. He's the bad guy. And he's in trouble. And that's what I don't like, because now Bella doesn't get to be angry. Like when somebody tries to play victim like that with you, it's like you don't get to be angry. She has to now comfort him. She has to feel bad for him. And why? Why should she feel bad? He wasn't the person that was wronged. Then he tells her that she's going to have to become comfortable believing he won't do it again. So that's not going to happen in a week. Trust is built through consistent behavior, not speeches, not sad faces, and not I'm in trouble behavior. It's like when Bella tells the woman she still likes him, and that for me, this is like a perfect example of what we would call a pick me energy. I know everyone hates to hear that. They think it's very negative. And I'm going to tell you now, I feel like this has been the one time for me where she's consistently giving very much pick me energy. And this is what we were talking about. Stuff like this. And I want to be very clear. I'm not using pick me to tear her down. I'm saying, girl, you're better than this. Everybody can see this woman is stunning. She's a total baddie. She could get any other man. And yet, because she likes this particular man, she's willing to take herself down a peg and tolerate things that she would have walked away from in any other circumstance. And that's what I'm talking about when I say kind of pick me energy. It's not you're stupid. It's girl, why don't you recognize your own value? And then Adam asks Mecca what his type is. And Mecca kind of dances around it when they're having a conversation. And Adam, clocking what a lot of us has clocked, asks him if he's into white girls or blondes. Mecca then says, well, he has no racial preference. When I hear a black man say he has no racial preference, what that tells me is you actually don't want black women. Or if you do, they're at the bottom of your list of who you want. It really raises an eyebrow for me. For me, it's what I'm hearing is that the women who are clearly unapologetically black may not be his preference. That's what it tells me. And I'm not talking about whether a woman wears a bonnet or has a certain hairstyle. I'm talking about wanting a woman who looks racially ambiguous, foreign, or white instead of a woman whose blackness is obvious and embraced. That's what I'm calling out. When you look all, because like when you look at the way Mecca talks about Belle's beauty, he I don't think this is about whether she has bigger boobs or some other physical feature. He talks about her having yams and all this other stuff. She's a very thin woman. She's in great shape though. She looks stunning. And he's trying to call out things, but he never just says, you just have the most beautifully stunning face. I just think you're so beautiful. He never says that. You recognize that. He'll say she's got a great spirit, a great heart. Then he'll make some sexual comments about her, but nothing just about pure beauty. And that says a lot to me. And then Mecca asks Cameron if Michelle's his dream girl, and Cameron says, yes, she's perfect. She is my dream girl. And I'm looking at Mecca like, so why can't you speak about Belle with that same kind of affirmation? It's because you don't feel the same way about her. So my red lipstick kiss off is this. My kiss is really for Bella, and it's a red lipstick intervention. I need you to stop protecting this man more than he's protecting you. He's already put your business out there, and you don't need to keep maintaining a facade for somebody who isn't extending that same protection to you. Like, hear me clearly. And Mecca, take some accountability, because the issue isn't that you have a type. The issue is that you're making a woman feel inadequate while refusing to own what you're saying and doing. Own it. Take some accountability. All right, moving on to Tori and Felipe. Tori, girl, I'm rooting for you. I'm so rooting for you, because Felipe is, my last nurse. He is exhausting me. First of all, when the car breaks down on the way to the retreat, Tori's the one driving the car. She already knows has issues, first off. I don't know why she did that. But the car starts smoking. They pull over. And who's handling everything? That's Tori. She's the one that's calling the tow truck. She's the one calling for help. She's figuring out what to do next. And Felipe is just honestly there. And I'm thinking, why didn't you drive, first off, Felipe? And to me, this was a moment for Felipe to really take the lead. And I'm not saying he needs to pay for a new car. I'm saying take some ownership of that situation. Because when Tori says they'll probably need to buy a new car, and Felipe says he'll just be there for moral support, it's like, sir, we're married now. That's not solution driven. That is very much dating behavior. And I think that's what kind of keeps frustrating Tori. He wants partnership from her, and he's not consistently demonstrating partnership toward her. Like, this is a woman that's trying to be kept. She's clearly high maintenance. You recognize that. And I'm pretty sure somewhere in your asks, you asked for a woman that had a particular look and feel. Well, those women cost money. They're not free. To look like Tori, to get the fillers, to do all those things cost money. And she needs a man that's going to take care of her. And you're not that guy. Then we get to the retreat games, y'all. They're at the retreat, and almost every negative characteristic that's called out somehow ends up being associated with Felipe. And Tori is visibly, getting turned off by this. Because I kind of imagine sitting there while everybody is essentially describing your husband as a walking list of terrible traits. That's what was happening. And then this man's laughing and giggling and celebrating when he gets a trophy for one of these things. At some point, Tori is like, I'm just over this. And then she says, I don't think I can continue with this. And we're all watching like, yeah, please, God, don't continue with this. Like, please don't. I don't know if she's actually going to leave, y'all. They kind of break up at the end, but I would love for her to get out now with a little dignity left, because Felipe doesn't seem to really understand why she's upset that he allows himself to be the butt of the joke. It's like you can volunteer yourself for that, Felipe, but Tori doesn't want to be the butt of the joke. And I think that matters even more when you consider the instability. I'm sorry, the instability and the responsibility she's experienced in her life. As you see, she's been kind of parentified. She's been taking care of her sister. She doesn't want the chaos. She doesn't want to be embarrassed. And she said it multiple times, I don't want a boy. I want a man. I don't want to be taking care of somebody. And she certainly doesn't want her husband volunteering the relationship as entertainment for everybody else. That becomes very exhausting. So my kiss off for them is my kiss really goes to Tori, and it's a kiss of encouragement. I think she finally started to see what we've been seeing, and Felipe isn't ready to show up like a husband. And Tori should not have to carry the relationship, the responsibility, the emotional maturity, and the consequences of his behavior. It's like, girl, if you need to go, then go. Stop talking about it. Just do it. All right, y'all. And then finally, we're getting to Nikki and Sean. Nikki and Sean are interesting because there are some moments where Sean gets on my nerves, and then there are moments where I actually have to give him credit. So, for instance, Nikki is cooking mac and cheese, and I love that she's making an effort. She doesn't have everything figured out. She doesn't even know how to set the oven properly, but she doesn't know the difference between evaporated and condensed milk. But she's at least trying, and for me, that to me is important. You don't have to be the world's greatest cook, but you just need to be willing to actually contribute and learn. And I feel like Nikki is demonstrating that. And meanwhile, Sean comes over. He's sitting on the counter, says hi to her mom, and then basically just watches her cook. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't you help her? Like, my stepdad isn't a cook, but he'll help my mom. He's like, do you want me to cut something? Or he'll say, do you want me to brown the ground beef for tacos? He's going to find a way to participate. And that to me is what real partnership look like. And Sean isn't doing that. And then this man tastes the mac and cheese and says yummy to her face in that annoying voice he has. Then goes in an interview and says it was just okay. And then says okay is better than terrible. For me, it's like the audacity. I've seen you cook nothing. And I'll say this, Sean does something. I will say this, every other guy on this season I've seen do something. Like at least with like with Felipe, I don't know, Felipe doesn't cook, but Felipe can take you to his restaurant. And then I have seen Devin, phenomenal, doing a ton of cooking, and Caitlin doing nothing. Adam can make some soup for Marissa. I mean, I'm just seeing other men do things and Sean do nothing. I will say this though, Sean does do something that I do appreciate, and he realizes that his earlier conversation with Adam could have been handled better. So that's something that I did like, that he did pull him aside and do that. I talked about that earlier. Thing that takes a big man. And that's just something that I kind of want to call out, because I think that moments like that are what maybe makes him a little bit more attractive to Nikki. But he also is petty, because Nikki brings up how Sean takes little jabs at her, telling her in Seattle you might be a 10, but in New York you're a 7. And I told myself, like, why would you say that? What was the need of that? Why would any man tell his wife that? Nikki says she doesn't want to be overly critical and she wants to pay attention to those things. And I'm like, I agree with that. You don't have to blow up, over every individual comment, but definitely pay attention to patterns like that of a man trying to knock you down, make you feel small, try to humble you. That's very weird energy. So my kiss for Nikki and Sean is what I would say a cautious kiss, because there's some positive things happening here. But Sean needs to understand that those like little jabs like that matter, and Nikki needs to keep doing exactly what she said she's going to do, and that's pay attention. Pay attention, girl. Here are just my overall retreat, excuse me, takeaways. I thought the cabin was beautiful, had lots of rooms, lots of space. Looks like it's going to be a good time. And then the games start. I think these games are great television. They are terrible for relationships, and I would never play those games. It's like once you start assigning everybody the worst possible personality traits, somebody's feelings are going to get hurt. And we saw that happen. We also saw some really revealing things about these couple. We saw who takes accountability. We saw who plays victim. We saw who jokes through serious situations. We saw who actually contributes. We saw who is carrying the emotional load. And we also saw who is still trying to convince themselves that they're interested in somebody that they clearly don't want. And that's what makes this season so interesting to me and such a good time to watch. At the end of the day, I'm looking at these marriages and I'm asking myself one question: are you actually showing up as a partner, or are you just playing the role of one? And I ask you guys the same thing. Do you think these people are actually showing up as a partner, or are they just playing the role of one? Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I think marriage is about what you say you want, or it's not about what you say you want. It's about what you consistently do. And I'm one of those people, like, I need you to show me rather than just tell me. And you can't demand partnership while refusing to actually act like a partner. You can't hurt somebody, then make yourself the victim because they're upset about it. And you can't tell somebody you don't find them attractive and then expect them to magically feel secure with you a week later. You can't say you want intimacy, okay? And then while driving somebody, absolutely no indication that you want them near you. So you've given them no indication that you want to be anywhere near them, but you want them to be right on top of intimacy with you. And you can't keep shrinking yourself to make somebody else comfortable and call that love. Sometimes the most loving thing, honestly, you can do for yourself is admit that this isn't really working for me and just walk away. That's it, y'all, for these episodes of Married at First Sight and of the Red Lipstick Club. I'm Anna Sierra. And as we close, just remember to keep your lipstick red, keep your standards high, keep your bullshit detector fully charged, because it'll come in handy. Peace. Said I love to put a smile on your pretty little face. I love it when you're close.